So if we go online and we look up greatest rock and roll albums of all time, though as rock fans we might disagree on where certain albums rank, but no doubt the list is probably accurate based on impact on the world and the genre. But this band that we're talking about today released an album in 2001 that definitely belongs on that list, and they definitely defined an era. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back, music lovers, especially my rock music lovers. Listen, the band P.O.D, for the entirety of its career pretty much, has flown under the radar. Even though they've had some great success, they have not been put up there on the top tier list of great rock bands, which is fine, but to me, they're a damn good rock band, and they've stayed humble the whole time. And their 2001 album, Satilite, definitely is one album that you cannot ignore and say is not great. So before we actually get to 2001 Satilite by P.O.D, let's take a little trip back to 1991. That's when Noel Bernardo and Marco Curiel would jam out together. Now these guys are all from the San Diego, California area. Now those two would jam out going by the name Chatos. Now they would most of the time jam out without a lead singer. They would do parties covering Metallica, Slayer, bands like that, influences to them. Now eventually Sonny Sandoval, the future lead singer of P.O.D, who was cousins with Bernardo, was brought in to sing for the band. Originally it was because his mother was lost to a long battle with leukemia, and his cousin decided, you know what, you come in and sing for us because it might be a good way just to kind of keep your mind occupied and not think about reality and just get away from life for a moment. Now those three were together, they just needed a bassist, so they brought in Gabe Portillo to play. And this guy was with them all the way up until 1994. After they recorded a demo tape, they brought in a guy named Mark Daniels to replace Portillo for a few shows, but that led on, well, more than a few shows. Now that the quartet was formed and they were P.O.D, they ended up dropping an album in 1994 called Snuff the Punk, and then 1996 they dropped the album Brown. Now, if you are a P.O.D fan, these guys, I'm talking about a hardcore fan, you love these albums. Now, if you just got into P.O.D or you got into them when I did, the early 2000s, you go back to that stuff and you go back to what the guys are doing now. I mean, that's just how great these guys are. They have stayed true to their self since the beginning. The evolution of their sound has not been too different from then till now. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. But after those two albums, the recognition they were getting, leading up to 1999, this is when shit would start to get really big for them. So in 1999, P.O.D released their album, The Fundamental Elements of Southtown. Now, two of their first hits off that album, Southtown and Rock the Party, freaking awesome songs. The music video for Southtown, these guys being Southern California boys, San Diego, they rep their city, town, and people to the fullest in this video. My respect, 100%. Rock the Party, awesome song. Not only that, these guys were definitely doing stuff right because that song hit the TRL countdown. And not only did it hit the countdown, it reached number one. And for anybody, whether they admit it or not, it was somewhat of a badge of honor to hit that countdown. Especially if you were a band or any rock music that wasn't being played as much that time on MTV. To hit the countdown and be number one was a big deal. And then their song, School of Hard Knocks. The first song I ever heard by P.O.D. Freaking love this song. Awesome song. This was featured on the Little Nicky soundtrack. Now, anything that Adam Sandler did at that time, even to today, the guy's a genius. And it was like, again, another badge of honor to be involved with Adam Sandler. And they played it on the soundtrack. And then even in the movie, they were playing Southtown and Rock the Party. So P.O.D. was featured all over that movie. They had their fingerprints on it 100%. And these three songs were just completely played like in a circle, just carouseled on MTV2, because MTV2 at that time was the old MTV. They weren't playing a lot of music on MTV, just a bunch of reality shows, but we had MTV2, which was 24/7 music, and P.O.D. was there 24/7. Real quick before we move on, I need you to do me a huge favor. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That will absolutely help me grow. Two things you can do for me that are free, and YouTube will put me out there to a more vast audience, and that's what I need to continue doing what I love to do, which is this. So please do those two things for me, and let's continue the video. So The Fundamental Elements of Southtown for P.O.D. was a certified platinum album. Absolutely amazing. These guys were just on fire. Getting ready to release their album in 2001, their fourth studio album, Satilite. Now, what should be the happiest day of any band? I mean, you just released a successful album. Now you're about to release another album that you've worked absolutely hard on. I mean, this should be one of the greatest days of your life. But unfortunately, this album for P.O.D. was released on September 11th, 2001, which is also one of the darkest days in American history. This was the day of the 9/11 terrorist attacks in New York City. So a day that could have been so great, so happy, turned into confusion and sadness really quick. So the first single off the album Satilite for P.O.D. was the song Alive. Now this song was featured on tons of movies, tons of TV shows, and it was played all over MTV and MTV2. An amazing, amazing song, uplifting message, especially when the lyrics were explained by Sonny Sandoval and the guys. I mean, absolutely amazing song. And it was definitely played in the right context on any feature film it was played on. It was played at the right time to make its mark. And this song was played all over MTV and MTV2. When the end of the year came and they released their top played songs, Alive was one of those songs. I'll get into the second single released off this album in just a minute. But two other great songs released off there were the song Boom and the song Satellite. Now, Satellite, the title track to the album, was a weird song, but I absolutely loved it. It just showed the guys could still be themselves, but throw a little unique sound in every once in a while. And Satellite definitely does that. Love the music video for it as well. Now, the song Boom, huge. I used to get, it was kind of conflicting because you remember the Saliva song, Click, Click, Boom? It was like one of those songs you could throw into one of those action movies and it always felt right. Well, the song Boom by P.O.D., kind of the same thing. And in fact, this song was awesome. The music video, freaking awesome. The guys playing ping pong, just, this takes me back. The song Boom is absolutely amazing. And it was kind of the theme song to the 2012 Kevin James movie, Here Comes the Boom. I mean, these guys, this album, could it get any better than that? Well, yeah, with their second single, it could. So the second single released off the album Satellite by P.O.D. was the song Youth of a Nation. Now, this song right here, just saying that name gives me goosebumps. This song, if you want to talk about classic bands, classic rock albums, classic songs, I don't care who you are, what decade it is, this song is an absolute classic. This song was inspired by the Columbine, Santana, and Granite Hill school shootings. And I just want to kind of go over the song, not in its entirety, but just a few lyrics from the song. And you cannot tell me this song wasn't written out of completely seeing the world for what it is. So the song hooks you right away, especially if you've heard the song before. I mean, you hear the lull of the guitar, like real, and then you're about to hear Youth of a Nation. So you buckle in because you know what's coming. First couple lyrics, last day of the rest of my life, I wish I would have known because I'd have kissed my mama goodbye. I mean, your heart's hooked. Later on in the verse, unaware I just did what I always do. Every day the same routine before I skate off to school. That hits me because that's what me and my buddies did. We grabbed the skateboards, we headed to school. Sometimes we skipped school, but either way, we jumped on those skateboards. And then I couldn't hear nothing except gun blasts. It happened so fast, I didn't really know this kid, though I sat by him in class. I mean, it happens so much in this world. I mean, that first verse is just, it's a tearjerker, man, but it shows you these guys, they had a keen eye on the world. And the second verse picks up, little Susie, she was only 12. She was given the world with every chance to excel. Hangs with the boys and hear the stories they tell. She might act kind of proud, but no respect for herself. And I'm not going to read every lyric, but right there, if you heard the song and you know the lyrics, I mean, I'm not going to say Susie was 12, the Susie that I know, but I knew little Susie. I knew a lot of little Susies. And it's unfortunate because that's the real world. I mean, you could be these people that are blind to what's going on in the underbelly of society, or you could be a person that's dabbled in both. You were on that side of the railroad tracks at some point, but you were able to fight through it and get to this side of the railroad tracks. I think for those people, you can see the world more for what it is. You're not blinded to anything, but it doesn't mean you can't better yourself. And little Susie, whoever little Susie is to you, we all know little Susie. In the last half of the second verse, Johnny Boy always played the fool. He broke all the rules so you would think he was cool. And then he crossed the line. There was no turning back. Told the world how he felt with the sound of a gat. Now, right there, that's a shot to the heart. I mean, every lyric from that song, we are the youth of a nation, right? That was, I've known, I've had friends that lost their life to suicide, and it's kind of weird to say lost their life to suicide, but that's just what it is. I mean, whether it was their choice or not, which ultimately it was, and that's what they chose. I've had them lost to gunshot wounds. I've had friends lost to hanging themselves, family as well. So that song has so much reality to so many people in the world that's what makes it a great song. I mean, it's a rock and roll song. The instrumentals are there. Awesome vocals by Sonny. And the lyrics are there. So you got every ingredient there to make a awesome rock song. Hands down, one of the greatest songs of all time. The album Satilite by P.O.D. has been certified all over the world. It's been certified 3 times platinum in the United States alone, sold well over 3 million copies. There's not enough that can be said about the band P.O.D. and this album. If you want to put that list up there, most underrated rock and roll albums of all time. And I don't mean just subgenres, I mean just rock. We know rock music. They are rock music. And it's got to be on there. And I put my list up, it's going to be on there, no doubt. If you come from my generation or my era, if you're around my age, P.O.D.'s impact was huge, especially at that time when that album came out. No doubt the guys hit a home run, and they're a great group of guys. I mean, they seem so humble and down to earth. I mean, just a couple guys from San Diego, California. I mean, I've seen P.O.D. 2 times. I've got the privilege to see P.O.D. 2 times. And both times, 2007, 2015, high energy, great experience. And the way Sonny interacts with the crowd, it's absolutely amazing. It's just like he's one of us, which they are one of us. I mean, they just had the unique privilege of being able to follow their dreams and do what they love and make something out of it, which I encourage everybody out there to do. So please, go for something big. Go for your dreams. I dare you. Don't be afraid to go for something. And again, thank you everybody for watching. P.O.D. Satilite, a hugely underrated album. Should be high up there, ranked with the greats. But until next time, take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Go for something big. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'm out.